Thank you very much. Good afternoon and welcome to the Senate Government Affairs. Thank you for being ready to join us a few minutes early. We have many meetings today, and so we're trying to get everything done. Will everyone please remember to mute their microphones when they're not speaking, and I won't go through the sundries of rules and information with Nellis. I think we're all there now, so if you would please call the roll.
Vice Chair Orenshaw.
Here.
Senator Gokachia.
Here.
Senator Neal.
Here.
Senator Hansen. Chair Don Daraloop.
Here. I see all members present, so thank you very much. We have a quorum, and with that, we are going to jump right into our agenda today. And so if we can get started with Senate Bill 67, I'll open the hearing on this bill. And this measure revises provisions relating to public works. And if the bill presenters will go ahead and get ready and proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon to you and the members of the committee. My name is Joanna Jacob, Joanna-Jacob. I'm the Government Affairs Manager for Clark County, and we are very happy to be here before you this afternoon. With me, Madam Chair, on this bill, I have the privilege of having Commissioner Tick Segerblum with me, a face that I'm sure you all will recognize, and one of your former colleagues who will help me support this bill. I also have Assistant County Manager Randy Tarr and our Director of Clark County Real Property Management, Lisa Kramer, on the phone or on the Zoom, if there are questions from the committee that need to be directed to them. So, Madam Chair, first I'd like to see if Commissioner Segerblum would like to say a few things about why we are proposing this bill, Senate Bill 67, today, and the importance of getting some of this maintenance work that we are trying to address in Senate Bill 67 out onto the street and done in our district. So, Commissioner, I don't know if you are ready.
I'm ready when the chair is ready for me.
Commissioner Segerblum, how are you? Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
Happy to have you back. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Great. And I just was going to, I was thinking of all of you and how I've known all of you, but I think I've known you the longest. Back when we were born, probably. But Senator Neal, it's great to see you. I haven't seen you yet this session, so very special. I love what you're doing. Anyway, not to digress, but I used to be a senator and I could make things jump. So I thought, well, I'm going to go to the county commission and things will jump there. But the truth is, we have tied the hands of local government so much that it's really difficult to get anything to jump. Just for example, when I came in, my office is on the 6th floor looking to the west of the valley, gorgeous view. The windows looked a little dirty. I said, when's the last time the windows were clean? They said 10 years. I said, well, let's get the windows clean, right? How hard is that? It took 2 years to get my windows cleaned because of the way we have to, anything that's over $100,000, we have to put it out to bid. It's a huge, complicated process. I also have a lot of old parts of town. We have streets that I want to get repaved. I say, well, let's repave that. Well, that's over $100,000. Well, let's just pave a portion and then we'll pave another portion. Well, that's a violation of the rule because we're just trying to get around the rule. The truth is we just need an expedited process to get contracts and get workers going that don't work for us. And this bill tries to get there. So it's not going to be the be all end all, but I'm just telling you, I can't tell you how much this will mean to me to be able to just call real public works or real property management and say, do this. And they don't say, well, we have to put it out to bid and it's going to take whatever. We already have a contract in place. We have, prevailing wage for employees and we're ready to go. So this is a dream come true for me.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. And thank you for joining us today. Ms. Jacob, would you like to continue, or how do you want this to go?
I'll go very quickly, Madam Chair. I wanted to have Commissioner Seger-Bloom here. We've been watching this bill very carefully. It is a priority for our commissioners, and because of some of the issues that he identified, and just wanted to have the opportunity to have him go first because it is Friday afternoon. So I will go ahead, Madam Chair. And just say, I would like to present the amended version that is on Nellis. So please direct your committee members to the amendment that we have posted. Our original bill was statewide. There were some pieces in that bill that would have proposed a threshold change in self-performance for local governments from 100,000 to 250,000. Those sections have been deleted in that amendment. And a couple of other critical things that you will see in the bill with the amendment is that the bill has now been changed through the products of months of discussion with stakeholders to a pilot program. And that is in the new section 2 in the amendment that you can see that we are now proposing to try a pilot program and see if we can get some of these jobs out to work. So just a few things before I go through the bill. For our chairwoman, Marilyn Kirkpatrick, she asked me to start working on this when I first joined the county. Our commissioners in the county, this bill is about jobs. We want to make sure that we can get work out, especially now as we recover from the pandemic, especially for the construction sector, which is a driver for our Southern Nevada economy. We want to keep it strong as we recover from the economic impacts of the pandemic, and that's why you will see in this bill, we are proposing a delivery method known as job order contracting. Our goal at Clark County is to hire multiple contractors and to try and spread the work out to the fullest extent that we can. Madam Chair, Chair Kirkpatrick, many of my commissioners, we started working with the labor community and industry when we first pre-filed this bill. The amendment that you have before you is the result of those discussions. So under the pilot program that we're producing, moving into the amendment, we are going to do a 4-year pilot for Clark County, the Clark County Reclamation District, and the 3 large cities in Southern Nevada, over 100,000. So that is Las Vegas, Henderson, and North Las Vegas. The reason that that is limited is at the request of some of the stakeholders. This is a new process, and we want to take the time to see how it works and for us, for the larger agencies, and then bring it back to you at the end of 4 years, hopefully with the data that we are generating through the reporting in the amendment to see if it works and bring it back, hopefully extend it or fix the things that we need to fix. The goal of job order contracting under the pilot program is to get exactly the kind of work that Commissioner Seger-Bloom noted done. It is really for maintenance, repair, demolition, remediation, very minor construction. And minor construction are small jobs. This is not meant for new construction in the sense that it is not meant for building a new building up, and because it is an alternative to low bid construction. When job order contracting is at its heart, on-call contracting. So think of it as on-call. The intent is to hire multiple general contractors through a competitive solicitation, and then the awarded contractors will be on call to do work that comes up during the course of that fixed contract period. It is indefinite quantity, because the work as it comes up will go out through a job order during the course of that period. The price is negotiated up front. Materials and labor are determined by a concept known as unit pricing, where the specific prices per unit are set up front for both the agency and the contractor, and that's why it goes fast. The reason why this will help is because we will not have to put out these smaller jobs individually, one by one, through procurement. When Commissioner Seger-Bloom spoke about the delay for Clark County is just more based on the volume that we have to maintain. Job order contracting has been successfully used for many years. It first started with the Army Corps of Engineers and has grown and expanded since then for at least 35 years now. It's used by public agencies, local governments, housing authorities, and in states and municipalities across the nation. Because it's been around a long time, Madam Chair, we can learn from best practices. And from the research we did on this bill, we learned it's very important to note that it's best used when it is limited. It's not meant to replace low bid contracting, nor is it right for the new construction and other types of jobs that I noted. We are not going to use it for groundbreaking, building a new building, and that's why you will see that there is a limit in the bill. Public agencies under the pilot can only put out $25 million per year under this method. To demonstrate our intent to keep the jobs small and keep these jobs, our goal is multiple contractors, multiple jobs going out. You can see that I filed a list of proposed sample projects. These are the types of projects that our Clark County Real Property Management has to do when we're doing maintenance and repair. Clark County is responsible really for 500 public buildings covering over 6 million square feet of space and 120 parks, totaling 5,200 acres. We have carved out of that portfolio. The $25 million for us is a fraction of what we deliver. We do on average $501 million in total project costs through our real property management per year. These are some of our most critical repair jobs. I will also note, Madam Chair, I would like to put on the record in the list that we put out, there was one mistake. I apologize. We, in the haste of getting these amendments filed and getting ready for the hearing, there is one job on our list that is not supposed to be there, and that is something that is a project at CCDC or South Tower. It's a $14 million job. That's not one that we are considering for job order contracting. You can see that the rest in that list, the rest of the jobs are about $1 million or under, but it's kind of recurring work that we have to do is the problem that we're trying to solve. Madam Chair, because it's a new amendment and there's a lot of changes, I thought I'll just go briefly through the sections. I won't read them line by line, but just briefly kind of an outline of the amendment. And also, I do feel like it's important to talk about some of the things that we negotiated with labor when we were coming to an agreement on this bill. I will tell you that this, Madam Chair?
That would be helpful. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. I hope that I believe that we will have people in support today, and it was really important to us to reach out to labor to get their agreement on this, and also the agreement of industry. We should have industry here as well. I'd just like to say, as a point of personal privilege, I actually am thankful for the discussion that we had, because I think it makes it a stronger bill. Where job order contracting really works is where there's a partnership between the agencies, the contractors, and everybody involved. So very thankful for our Southern Nevada construction community has come forward to partner with the county on this bill. So Section 1, Madam Chair, is our limit. That's where we have our pilot project, and it can only be used by certain agencies. I also note that public agencies will be tasked, and in addition to the bill, with ensuring compliance with the apprentice standards that apply to other public work. That is NRS 338.01165 that you will see in the amendment. Section 3, subsections 2 and 3 are further limits. We are going to do the 25 million threshold is in Section 3. We also are going to do a 2-year contract period under Section 8. The original bill had proposed 3 optional 1-year extensions to that 2-year period. We narrowed this down in response to stakeholder concerns to a single 1-year extension. And we want to ensure that that this system works, and we want there to be opportunities to access these contracts. Because we may be delayed in getting this up and running. It's a new process. We worked with stakeholders on the language that says that we may be able to, because we're in a 2-year period, use any unused funds that aren't used in the first year of the 2-year period in the second year of the period. I would like to say there was some concern on this section, and so I feel it's important to put on the record. This is not meant that agencies will be able to sit on the money and then put out one big job. Again, this is meant for repetitive jobs, and the goal is to get these out to small, repetitive, recurring work. Sections 4 to 5 state the requirements for the procurement, including the requirement that public agencies advertise the bid like any other public work job. There's specific requirements for the solicitation, including qualifications that will be sought from the contractor, requiring the agency to put out the details about the method of pricing in this job so that it's very clearly set forth for the contractor so that they are able to bid. In Section 7, this was also important. We added the application of the existing local bidder's preference to the bidding process because we want the jobs generated under this bill to go to the fullest extent that they can to our local contractors. Section 8, the general contractor will contract as needed. Because it's indefinite quantities, we can't identify what may come up at the beginning and the outset of the contract. So we've given the power of, we've given the ability for the general contractor to go out and get the subcontractors, suppliers, or professionals needed to complete the job order. I will note one change here in the amendment that I did not catch as I was cleaning up this amendment. This was a request from Southern Nevada Building Trades that we're changing the term in Section 8 on the ability to procure subcontractors and suppliers. It says independent contractor. We would like to change that to professional. That was based on feedback that we received from the building trades. Would like to make that change for the record. In Section 9, before the job order issues, a job order is the work that goes out under the umbrella contract. We'll say the job order issues. How this works is that when we have a job that comes up, the agency will scope and walk the job with the contractor. They'll say, okay, they'll work out their schedule. They'll work out the scope. Okay, we can get this done. That's how they know what they need to go out and get to do the job. And then before the job order issues, we are requiring them to name the subcontractors that they will use on the job and also requiring the general to notify us of any substitution of a subcontractor. The reason that this works is this job order process. This is actually where you see the alternative to putting these out one by one. It changes the timeline from months to weeks that we can get jobs out in weeks, as opposed to months to go through the full solicitation process at the county. Section 10 has our reporting. It was important to our stakeholders and for our labor community that this new process is transparent. It is a new process, and we want to generate the data to see how it's working once it gets off the ground. We've agreed to quarterly reporting to our governing body. So that would mean it for Clark County or for any of the cities who decide to use this method. They would do quarterly reports for each year of the contract to their governing board. These will be publicly available. And they will be for all job orders that issue under these contracts, the cost and the subcontractors used. We put in some language there to empower the local governing boards if there's other things that they want to track that they can add to that report, and the governing body can dictate what they want in that report. We also have added in here that the legislature should get these reports. Copies of these reports under the amendment will be transmitted annually to the legislature. I'm almost done, Madam Chair. It's the section 12 to 14 of the original bill. That's where we had the self-performance change, and we have deleted those. That's really a request from Northern Nevada AGC and both Northern Nevada Building Trades, Southern Nevada Building Trades. There were some concerns on the impact to small business. We looked into those concerns, and we have agreed to delete those sections from the bill. At the very, very end of the bill is new section 14, and that is our sunset provision. This was also a request from our labor partners that we sunset it so that we have a way to come back to the legislature if there are changes and fixes that we need to make. So that is at the very last page of our amendment, and you'll see that we sunset it from 4 years of the effective date. We know that legislation is rarely perfect on its first try, especially when you're proposing something new. We're committed to come back and work on this in 4 years as needed. So I think that's about it. Madam Chair, just a few comments in closing. It seems really long ago, but in late January, Governor Sisolak had asked local governments to try to get work out that's sitting on our shelves. We had pre-filed this bill because it is a priority for Clark County, but this would help the local governments who are identified in this bill to do just that, to try and get work out that is sitting on our shelves. I want to thank the Southern Nevada labor community for working with Clark County on this bill, the Southern Nevada construction industry and their willingness to partner with us. As I said, their input made this a stronger bill, and the success of this initiative will depend on the collaboration and support from labor alike. At its heart, this is a jobs bill. I would like to say these are our parks, these are our parking lots, these are our bathrooms in our public parks that are closed and the public can't access them as we're getting close to the summer. These are splash pads. If the splash pads at our public parks need maintenance or repair, they're not working. And so this is really an important bill for Clark County because we believe that this will help benefit our community. We have projects planned in almost every single commission district in Southern Nevada. And with that, Madam Chair, I know that you have many more bills to hear, so I will end the presentation there. And again, I have my colleagues here to answer questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. And with that, I'll open it up for questions. Senator Gokachia, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Jacobs, as I look at this, you're going to do a job order, and will that be defined on what jobs are going to be entailed in that, or once you're issued the program and a job order, then it almost sounded like it could be an ongoing list?
Thank you for the question, Senator Goycochea. Joanna Jacob for the record, and through you, Madam Chair, to Senator Goycochea. The importance of the project description at the front in the solicitation cannot be overstated. When we looked at some other projects, I'll give you an example. I looked at like a similar program that the city of Austin put out in Austin, Texas. And when they went out to the RFP, they described their project description, and it said everything that could come up in real property management. So they listed it out. It could be electric vehicle charging stations. It could be electric. It could be roof repair. And so the public agencies doing this have to define it up front very succinctly because the contractors need to know how to bid the job because the general contractors are kind of taking on that risk at the beginning of the year. So the goal would be to look at what our needs are. As you can see in the project list that I have filed, we'd cover a lot of territory. So we would have to spend some time in giving the universe of work that could come up in a very succinct, descriptive way. So then as the job order comes up, it's not a surprise, right? Because we want to make sure that it encompasses the type of work that can come out. It needs to give certainty to the contractor. And I hope that answers your question. I guess I'm hoping it could mean anything that comes up in our parks, and then the job order then would be, for example, go out and resurface a tennis court, right? So then it would be within the scope of the types of work. There's usually also a pre-bid meeting with the contracting community to kind of go over in very detailed, when I've seen how other agencies do this, it's very detailed to talk about the type of work that we will put out, and it's important to invest in time in that process. So I hope that answers your question, Senator.
Just a quick follow-up, Madam Chair, if I may. So the job order itself will determine what the job is going to be, and so you anticipate you could issue a job order every month. One would be for parks, and one would be for a piece of sidewalk or something like that.
Thank you, Senator Goycochea. Joanna Jacob for the record. Exactly, sir. I think we'd have to look at, subject to the threshold, we'd have to really prioritize, we'd have to look and see how we want to structure this program. And I will also, I know I have my experts on the phone, on the line too. So if they need to jump in, please let me know if I misspeak. So we could put out one a month. The goal is, and I'll give you another example. We talked to the city of Long Beach, California. They're using this program there. They hire multiple people to be on call. And what they do is they rotate. So you could send out contractor A over here to do this job. Then we send out the next thing that comes up goes to contractor B, C, D. So it depends on the frequency, really, and the availability, and how many we hire, really, on how quickly we can get it out. It's a priority. I don't know if I can say one per month, but really that's why we have a 2-year contract period. So we're hoping to get it out subject to the annual threshold, right? But we'll hope to we certainly have a lot of projects on backlog that we think that we can get through. We actually, the partial list that I filed is really just a fraction. When we looked at our global list of projects, we think under the 2-year period, we identified about like maybe 49 projects that we could get out on the street. So it'll depend on some factors, how many we hire, how many general contractors we hire, the availability of subcontractors, suppliers, that type of thing. But the goal is to get them out.
Thank you.
And I guess to answer your question about job order contract versus job order, the contract would be the global umbrella contract, and then we would issue job orders, and that's where the savings are, right? Because we're not putting them out individually to bid. We would put them under the scope of that contract.
Yes, that's why it's a pilot program. You tell TIC to get it fine-tuned and then turn it loose to the rest of the girls. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. That's actually true, Senator. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Senator. I will go to Senator Hansen. I believe you had a question.
Madam Chair, all due respect, Senator Neal's been waiting a lot longer than me. Well, I'll let her go if it's okay.
No, Senator.
No, we're going to let you go, sir.
Okay, all right. I just want to be fair.
Age before beauty.
Thanks. My question, actually, she may have answered it. When I read the original bill, I got some real heartache because there are qualifications in there for contractors that would exclude small contractors, which I'm one of. And I've done a fair amount of work for the cities, Reno, Sparks, and so forth. And so I didn't catch the amendment, though. You said AGC and some of the northern building groups and so forth added an amendment, and you mentioned several sections. Can you, I'm sorry, just real quickly go over those sections again? Or you know what? I'll talk to you later. I don't want to talk. We got so much to do here. My concern is just simply by raising the bar as to who can qualify as a contractor to be even involved in the bidding, you eliminate a lot of the smaller contractors with the current language. So I'll have to take a look at all the amendments, but got some concerns, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry. I know, Senator Hansen, I'm certainly willing to actually follow up with you, sir, after the hearing, but I will also tell you the amendment really for Northern Nevada was to write Northern Nevada out. They wanted us to pilot in the South. And I also point you to the language. There's language in here that we are mandating that 50% of the work needs to be subcontracted out, sir, because of exactly those concerns. We want to make sure that we can spread the work out and that we put multiple people at work. So I certainly am happy to follow up with you after this today. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. We're kind of running up against the deadline, so my apologies for not being able to have more advanced questions for you. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Senator Neal.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I just have one quick question. It was on the adjustment factor that's applied to unit prices. Just wondering how that worked, because I did see the 50%, but you do have some general contractors that will be allowed to do some of the work. So I'm wondering, how does this adjustment factor work for the pricing?
Thank you for the question, Senator Neal. Through you, Madam Chair, to Senator Neal. Adjustment factor is kind of the how the contractor will bid their profit and overhead, if that makes sense. So because we have a unit price that's going to be for every material, labor, it's going to be set. So then we know what the work is. So how it works is because you have this line item pricing, you have a unit, right? And then you have the quantity, and then the pricing works. They say, we'll do it as a coefficient as like 100% of the price book, or 105% or 97% of the price book, that type of thing. One thing that we received some feedback from other public agencies using this is that we have to be wary about people coming in low on that price book, because it's really, you need to be able to obviously it needs to be profitable for the contractors and it needs to be able to pencil. So that's how it works, is that, and the way that it flows and why it's good and it's fast is because you have your unit price and then everything gets adjusted by that multiplier. Think of it as a multiplier that gets applied to the unit price and then the quantity and then a multiplier on each job order. And that's how the adjustment factor works. I have a sample of, I can show you like a job order. I'm happy to share that with you or file it with the committee after so it can show you a picture of it, but that's really how it applies.
That's fine. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Other questions from the committee? Just one quick clarification, Ms. Jacob. So this bill will allow more work to be done by subcontractors instead of the city and the county workers that are already there that do some of this.
Madam Chair, great question. Joanna Jacob for the record. And I may actually ask Lisa Kramer or Randy Tarr to help me with this question. This is, and please, Randy or Lisa, if I misspeak, we don't have in-house crews who do a lot of the work that we're proposing here. So this is actually, what this is doing is taking it out of the low bid and doing it one by one. These are the smaller jobs that sometimes it's cost prohibitive. They line up, right? And so what we're doing is saying, we're gonna take this category of jobs that are on the shelf and we're gonna put them out to general contractors, and then general contractors in turn do the work that a general contractor does. They're going to in turn put it out to subcontractors. We think the Southern Nevada labor market is, we think the type of work will probably exceed that 50% threshold easily on some of these jobs because of the specialty work and the subcontractor market here in Southern Nevada. But that's what we're doing. It might have been work that would have been traditionally gone out low bid, but we're taking it. It's sitting on our. The point is, it's not going out right now. It's sitting on our shelf. So we're getting jobs out, and we're prioritizing the small dollars work that is important to our community. So this is the maintenance work that we need to do to maintain our public buildings and grounds.
Correct. Thank you very much. I just wanted clarification. All right. Any additional questions from the committee? And I'm sorry if I feel like I'm pushing us along, but I don't want to be here at 10 o'clock, so we're moving along. I see no more questions. So with that, we'll go to, unless Commissioner Sigerblom, did you have one more thing you wanted to add there?
I just wanted to say thank you so much. This is really important, but mainly just it was great to see everybody and working hard on a Friday afternoon. That's very
okay. Thank you, Commissioner. I have my Cliff Sigerblom hanging right over my screen as we speak.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, we will go to support. So broadcasting, if you'd like to queue up the caller.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon. To testify in support of SB 67, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last three digits of 888. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin. Caller with the last three digits of 888. I can see you are unmuted. Are you having trouble giving testimony? Please try to begin to speak. There we go.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, my name is Miley Alarcon, and I'm a Boyd Law student extering for career in Nevada. I am calling on behalf of the Mechanical Contractors Association of Las Vegas and the Sheet Metal and Air Conditioning Contractors National Association of Southern Nevada. MCA and SMACNA believe that SB 67 will help local entities escalate some much-needed improvements and simultaneously provide some much-needed work opportunities for the construction industry. We thank Commissioners Kirkpatrick and Sigerblom for their foresight and Ms. Jacobs for her tireless efforts to get the bill just right. Thank you for the opportunity to get our support of SB 67 on the record today.
With the last three digits of 938, please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Senate Government Affairs Committee. For the record, my name is Ariel Edwards, ARIELLEEDWARDS, on behalf of the City of North Las Vegas, testifying in support of Senate Bill 67. The City of North Las Vegas is in support of Senate Bill 67 and would like to thank the bill sponsor, Clark County, and their Government Affairs Manager, Joanna Jacob, for working with us. Senate Bill 67 would greatly benefit the City of North Las Vegas and would allow us to prioritize potential job order contracts and create massive job opportunities. We submitted an exhibit for the committee's review that includes a sample of potential projects for job order contracting for the City of North Las Vegas. So again, we thank Clark County for bringing this bill forward and urge the committee's support and passage of this bill. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits of 903, please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good afternoon, Jennifer Lazovich, LAZO, V as in Victor, ICH, representing Gordian. We'd like to thank Clark County and in particular Joanna for working with a number of different parties to amend this bill in a way that I think works for everyone. It's a great bill. It's a great amendment. We appreciate and applaud the county and her efforts, and we stand in support of the bill.
Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits of 652. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good afternoon, Nick Vasiliadis, VASSILIADIS, here to speak on behalf of the Carpenters Union. I'd like to thank the commissioners who brought this bill forward, and a special thank you to Ms. Jacobs, who worked tirelessly to put up with all of our nonsense just to make sure that this bill was just right. It's never easy dealing with the entire labor community, but we thank you for your tireless efforts. We thank you for getting this bill to a place where we think it's going to bring much needed jobs in the very short term. So thank you, and we stand in support.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits of 216. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair. Brian Reeder, BRIANREEDER, with Ferrari Public Affairs, representing the Nevada Contractors Association. NCA is made up of general and subcontractors and affiliated businesses throughout Southern Nevada, and we support SB 67 and want to thank Chair Kirkpatrick, Ms. Jacob, and the county for working with the industry on the bill, and we urge your support.
Thank you very much. Next caller.
Caller with the last three digits of, oh, we just lost that caller. Stand by. Caller with the last three digits of 642. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Hi, this is Randy Robinson on behalf of the City of Las Vegas, RANDY ROBISON, in support. Thank you.
Caller with the last three digits of 469. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good afternoon, Andy Donahue for the record, ANDYDONAHUE with Southern Nevada Labor Employers Cooperation Education Trust in support of this innovative concept. Thank you.
If you recently just joined us, we are currently in support of SB 67. To testify in support, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you recently just joined us, we are currently taking testimony in support of SB 67. To testify in support, please press star 9 now. Chair, you have no more callers in support at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition.
Testify in opposition of SB 67. Please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last three digits of 534. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Yeah, this is Skip Daly, DALY, representing the labor union in Northern Nevada. And I do want to thank Joanna and the others for helping, trying to work on this, work some of the things out. But a couple of things listening to the testimony here today, I would point out. So one of the things that we did talk about was limiting it to Southern Nevada as a pilot program, and that part I don't have problems with. But we also asked to have something in there that said there was no third-party administration, so you couldn't have a person who operates as a group, bidding up all of the work and then having his own stable of contractors that he did. I don't see that in there. With all due respect to my good friend, Mr. Sagerbloom, window cleaning is not a public works job, so that's a purchasing issue. If you had trouble cleaning your windows, this bill wouldn't fix that problem. Substantial problems I have in the part where it says you can substitute subcontractors. I know that's not allowed under regular construction, and the reason that you don't want to be able to substitute contractors is a prime contractor or a higher tiered contractor selects their subs, builds their job, puts in their bid and everything based on that contractor and the pricing that they receive from that contractor. And if they're able to substitute, it creates a potential for a bid shopping issue that could come up where, hey, I got the job now and it's my money and I'm going to try to leverage subcontractors and substitute into a lower price guy, which would enrich that other contractor, and savings would not necessarily be passed on or even generally be passed on to the awarding body. So that bid shopping is an issue. I know I talked to Joanna at the very beginning about who's on the committee, the selection committee. You're going to have several different selection committees. There's no makeup, no number of people on the committee. Could be one person on doing that, and so there needs to be some definition around that. The list of 49 projects, and I understand if all of those projects are such priorities and we can get them out there, session's been in 60 days, and apparently none of them have been advertised, so I don't know why people are letting the grass grow. And then the final thing that I'll say is the exact reason that we're opposed and have general concerns with this is something that the Senator Gokachia said was, oh, you're going to fine-tune this and it'll be expanded. We've never wanted to be expanded. We've been opposed to it in Northern Nevada. That's why it's limited to the South. And if this is a pilot program to extend it statewide, we remain and will be staunchly opposed to any such idea in the future. Appreciate your time. Look forward to hearing from you, Joanna. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
If you recently just joined us, we are currently in opposition of SB 67. To testify in opposition, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, you have no more callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much. Can we go to neutral, please?
To testify neutral on SB 67, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits of 150, please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Alexis Motorex, Alexis Motarex, with the Nevada Chapter Associated General Contractors, representing the commercial construction industry in Northern Nevada. We are neutral on SB 67. AGC has opposed efforts to include job order contracting as a delivery method in the past, but since, as amended, SB 67 is limited to Clark County, we have removed our opposition. We appreciate Ms. Jacob taking the time to meet with us and address most of our concerns, including limiting the scope and removing changes to the self-performance threshold. However, in our meetings, we also discussed our concerns with third parties administering these contracts. We ask that language be included in the bill prohibiting third-party administration and requiring these contracts be directly managed by the local government themselves. Oftentimes, third-party administrators of this type of work charge more than 10% of the gross CIP budget for their services. The best and highest use of taxpayer dollars is to deliver projects, not pay a third party to manage those contracts. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last 3 digits of 292, please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good afternoon, Rob Benner, ROB, BENNER, with the Northern Nevada Building Trades. We do have concerns with the bill, as stated by Mr. Daly and the Northern AGC, but due to the fact that it is not affecting Northern Nevada, we are neutral on this issue for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
We are currently in testimony of neutral on SB 67. To testify neutral, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, you have no more callers neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. So with that, Ms. Jacob, do you have any closing thoughts?
Yes, Madam Chair. Briefly, I just would like to address some of the comments in opposition and in neutral. It is true, I did meet with Mr. Daly and Mr. Benner and Northern Nevada AGC. Explain the why we're bringing this is because of the volume of contracts that Clark County must do. We have a lot on our shelf and it is a product of the volume that we do. They listened to us and worked with us, but really they're not ready because their agencies in Northern Nevada don't really handle the volume that Clark County does. That's why we agreed to take them out for right now. It is a pilot, Madam Chair. I think that the question about the third-party administration of contracts, we do hire people at Clark County to help us administer the contracts. When I talked about the best practices, because its delivery method has been in place and has been used around this nation for 35 years, there are best practices that have evolved that we have studied, and that includes very close administration of this program, and we are committed to doing that. I am hoping that under the pilot that we will have some data and that we will bring back and show what it looks like in Nevada, and we can bring that to you in 4 years. So thank you for hearing the bill. I know that it is deadline day. I have committed to working with everybody on this bill. I'm going to ask, hopefully, that we can keep this alive and moving in the process, and that you might be able to support getting it out today so that we can continue to work on this bill. So thank you to you and your committee members. Thank you for the great questions, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jacobs. We appreciate that. And with that, I will close the hearing on Senate Bill 67, and we will go to Senate Bill 286. And I will open the accepting. I don't know if I see who I'm supposed to. Oh, there he is. Okay. Mr. McCann, how are you? Good to see you, sir.
I'm teaching.
Open the hearing on Senate Bill 286. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Rick McCann. I am the Executive Director of the Nevada Association of Public Safety Officers and a member of the Nevada Law Enforcement Coalition. With me here today will be Mr. Mike Snyder from PPACE, and he will be addressing Section 1 of this bill in a little bit more particularity in a few moments. But I'll try to rush through this as quickly as possible. Let's start with Section 1. It's always a nice place to start. Section 1, by way of background, and by the way, the amendment that incorporates everything we've done is now on Nellis. So if you need to take a look at that. By way of background, this portion, Section 1, deals with the definition of a supervisory employee for purposes of describing who can and cannot be in a collective bargaining agreement. Prior to the 2019 session, if an employee met any of the descriptions that are set forth there in NRS 288.138, for example, the authority to hire, fire, suspend, assign, any of those things, if they met one of those, they could not be in the same bargaining unit as those whom they supervised. Well, in 2019, your own Senator Dallas Harris sponsored a bill that exempted law enforcement and firefighters from such a broad definition, since they work under what we call a paramilitary command structure, where law enforcement and fire agencies frequently, they have rank and file officers who undertake supervisory roles as acting or temporary supervisors, while the regular supervisor is out on sick leave, on vacation, perhaps in lengthy training, or observing an extended leave. Such a temporary assignment could require the new temporary supervisor to step out of his or her bargaining unit, in theory, for that temporary period of time. We believe that was an unworkable process. So in 2019, Senator Harris's bill resolved that issue. The 2019 bill also included certain categories of peace officers to which this exemption applied, including the categories that we were going to strike out of the original bill in Section 1A3. If you take a look at the amendment on Nellis, you'll see that we have now had some discussions with the stakeholders in an effort to try to bring some consensus to the process. In that way, we have chosen to remove the amendments that we made in Section 1A3. So the only thing left now in Section 1 is Section 1A4. That adds a category to the exclusions, which in this case is very directly one. It's the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Protective Association for civilian employees. We call it PPACE. They provide civilian support services to Metro under a paramilitary command structure like Metro. Without this amendment that we're proposing to include these folks, there are certain factions out there, unfortunately, who are seeking to raid PPACE of its members under the definition of NRS 288.138, which we kind of think is a form of union busting. We don't like that. By adding these civilian law enforcement support service people to this statute, they are exempted under their own paramilitary command structure, and they can stay in their own bargaining unit where they want to be without fear of being pulled out as part of a union busting campaign. Let me emphasize this. This part of the bill is not, this part of the bill prevents raiding of these union members. Mr. Mike Snyder of PPACE will address that portion again in a moment. Continuing on to Section 2. Section 2, when the original collective bargaining bill was signed in 2019 by the governor, it included only those persons defined as state employees, and they were essentially classified employees of the state and some employees under the NSHE group. However, the new collective bargaining bill also, in its original form as signed into law, it described a specific bargaining unit as including all Category 2 peace officers. Cool. That's fine. Problem is, we, myself, my organization, we represent state gaming control officers, of which there are about 95, I believe, in the state. They are unclassified employees and thus do not qualify for collective bargaining on that basis alone under NRS 288.425 sub 1. However, as I've stated, they're also Category 2 peace officers, and they are theoretically under their own bargaining unit set forth in the statute. So while they are Category 2 peace officers and placed into a specific bargaining unit by the law, they are not defined as as employees because they're not classified. This seems to be a little bit of an inconsistency, we felt, and it's a little unfair to our gaming control agents who deserve to be in collective bargaining. We recently bargained the very first contract in the state's history on behalf of Category 2 officers, and our gaming control agents, they sat back and watched while receiving no benefit of the contract due to this dilemma. In order to remedy this isolated situation for those officers, and those officers alone, we are seeking to amend the law in Section 2 of SB 286. It would add a third category of employee to the definition of who is entitled to collective bargaining by simply adding Category 2 gaming control peace officers in the classified or unclassified service of the state. Very directed at those particular people. The amendment does not open up collective bargaining for everybody and their brother, and it is limited only to those Category 2 gaming control peace officers, whom my group already represents. As you can see from the amendment, in a showing of good faith to other stakeholders, we have restricted again Section 2 to include only Category 2 gaming control peace officers. The rest of the bill's easy. Why? Because we took it out. Section 3. As you will see from the proposed amendment, we are striking the changes in Section 3. After reviewing the possible complications that could be caused by opening up the number of bargaining units set forth in the 2019 law, we decided to remove this amended language. Section 4. As you will see from the proposed amendment, the last sentence was added in error. It's an incorrect statement, and it would be inconsistent with what is currently NRS 288.550, which is already in the original law. But as you can see from the amendment, that last sentence in Section 4, bye-bye, gone. So essentially about 50% of the bill has been eliminated because of conversations with our stakeholders. Finally, let me do something a little unusual, perhaps, in the efforts of saving some time, because I'm not sure that you'll get back to me, Madam Chair. Let me quickly address the opposition to this bill that I believe will be coming. There may be two unions who will oppose the bill because it purportedly raids union members. You can see the bill for yourself with its amendments. There is no such raiding element in the bill. In fact, with respect to PPACE, it is quite the opposite. This bill will actually keep certain factions from raiding those folks. And then there is a good friend of mine who I am sadly expecting to be on the opposition. And she's from my national union. A little odd. I don't think you see that much. She will likely testify in opposition of the bill. But let me just go on record and say, like others from unions who will oppose this bill, those people act not upon logic, in my humble opinion, or a true belief that the bill is bad, but because they're ordered to do so by their national offices to do so. National offices, unfortunately, are not in touch with what we are dealing with here in Nevada. My humble opinion. Suffice it to say, finally, that any national office that opposes protecting members from being raided, which this bill does for PPACE, or tries to prevent members from being included in collective bargaining, which this bill does for gaming control people, in my opinion, is taking a position completely contrary and antithetical to the best interests of these workers. So with that, with your permission, Madam Chair, I will turn this over to Mr. Snyder, who will speak relative to Section 1 and the PPACE involvement.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCann. Pleasure hearing from you. Mr. Snyder, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Chair and honorable senators of the committee. I assume I'm clear and the audio is good.
You are, sir. You are on our screen and we can hear you fine.
All right, very well. Introducing myself, I am Mike Snyder. I'm Mikesnyder, and I do consulting work for the Las Vegas Police Protective Association civilian employees, as Rick has stated, commonly referred to as PPACE. I worked with, quite frankly, with PPACE for 16 years while I was the Director of Labor Relations for Las Vegas Metro. A most honorable organization and good people that represent the fine civilian employees of Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. As I think Rick said, they represent all of the civilian support staff of LVMPD. As all of you are well aware, Las Vegas Metro operates as a paramilitary organization. As a civilian association, we represent over 83 different classifications, from custodians to forensic scientists. We represent almost 1,500 employees, of which 1,200 are active association members, giving us an 80% membership rate. Very significant. Currently, we have 20 supervisor classification with 90 employees in those classifications, a 77% membership rate within that. In addition, we have 18 classifications that could at any time step into the role of acting supervisor, and Mr. McCann addressed that to some degree with respect to having to step outside of a bargaining unit as a result of that potential. We want the committee to understand, we want legislative help to include us in the statute So a supervisor, a temporary assigned supervisor, would not be forced to leave the association solely because they meet one of the 12 indicators in the statute. We as PPACE would not want our supervisors or those employees acting in supervisor capacity for a day, a week, or longer to be forced out of our association, especially since it would leave them with no option of representation. Being a paramilitary structure, as a civilian employee, they meet even less of the criteria listed in NRS 288-138, less than a sergeant, for example. And therefore, our acting supervisor would be like the rank and file police officer stepping into a supervisory capacity. Specifically, being a paramilitary organization, our supervisors have several levels of oversight and ultimately do not have final approval on at least 10 out of 12 of indicators listed in 288, 138, 1B1, neither of 1B, 2, and 3. As Mr. McCann stated, there have been other groups that have attempted to split PPACE into two groups in an attempt to bust the union and limit representation for employees in this group. We wish only to maintain status quo. We're not looking to create any new bargaining units. I think it's important to note from my perspective and looking at this, having experience on both sides of the table, there's no negative impact to this change with respect to how it would impact PPACE. Wouldn't have a negative impact on Metro, would be a positive impact for employees in that civilian association, and would limit potential litigation in the future with respect to arguments over supervisory status, which is a costly factor not only for our association, but a costly factor for Las Vegas Metro and other employers that would be impacted by this. With that, I want to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to express support for this, for the association, and I will remain online for any questions that you may have of me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Snyder. We appreciate your information. Mr. McCann, do you have any additional information?
No, ma'am. That would be concluding our presentation at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Then we'll go to questions from the committee. Senator Neal, no questions?
No, Madam Chair. He pretty much deleted the original bill.
Oops. Okay, well, all right. If you have no questions, that's probably good. Senator Gocochea and Senator Hansen. What does that say? No. Senator Hansen, no. Okay, that along with my timer works very well. Thank you, sir. All right. Mr. McCann, just as Senator Neal noted, I mean, a lot of this has been deleted. And I mean, I'm assuming that you and Mr. Snyder are in agreement that this is a good place to be with this bill and you would like it to move forward.
We would love it, Madam Chair, to move forward. We would certainly ask, not that I have any ability to ask for anything, that'd be work session and vote it out of here and get through and onto the floor and onto the assembly and everything else. We think it's an excellent bill. It started out as a good bill. Well, I drafted it, so I'm kind of biased. But you know what? In talking to the stakeholders, they've convinced me that I was wrong in certain areas. And my own union has convinced me in certain areas we're wrong. But the two areas that are left, dealing with 95 people trying to get into collective bargaining, they're already my members. They just want collective bargaining. What's wrong with that? I mean, that's what we did in 2019 to give them that opportunity. To oppose that, to me, is a little odd. And nobody's rating anybody with PPACE. If anything, it's keeping them from being rated, as we've stated.
Okay, thank you very much for that explanation. Well, thank you, sir. If I don't see any questions, then let's go straight to support. Broadcasting, if you'll go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support of SB 286, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last three digits of 625. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Carol Albertson. That's spelled Carrol, Albertson, Albertson. I am here representing P-PACE, and I would like to express my support of SB 286, especially the first section, which pertains to civilian employees. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits of 169. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Randall, spelled Robert Adam Nora David Lincoln Easy. I would like to express my support of SB 286, especially the first portion, which pertains to civilian employees. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits of 082. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Yeah, Madam Chair and members of the committee, my name is Jim Dunlap, JIMDUNLAP. I'm president of the Nevada Association of Public Safety Officers, and I'm here representing a member of the Law Enforcement Coalition. I'm here to express my support for SB 286 with the amendments as written. I know that there's been a lot of discussion back and forth with Mr. McCann and the stakeholders in this and getting this bill amended as it is. And I don't see any reason why we should be holding out our gaming control officers from having the ability to collectively bargain as Category 2 police officers in the state. As it pertains to P-PACE, clearly this bill would protect them, and isn't that what we should be doing, is protecting our workers who are giving of themselves? And also, again, for the record, I'm a 26-year law enforcement veteran, and I'm currently active in the state of Nevada as well. So thank you again. I hope we can get this bill passed and move it along. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
If you recently just joined us, we are currently in support of SB 286. To testify in support, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last three digits of 735. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
My name is Daniel Jackson, DanielJackson. I would like to express my support for Senate Bill 286, especially the first section which pertains to civilian employees. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits of 346. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Yes, my name is Matt Richardson, MattricHardson. I'd like to thank the chair, Ms. Dondero-Loop, and the committee members for a chance to speak. I'm speaking in support of SB 286. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
For those of you that recently just joined us, we are currently still in testimony support on SB 286. To testify in support, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, you have no more callers in support at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition.
To testify in opposition of SB 286, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last three digits of 960. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin. Caller with the last three digits of 960. Please press star 6 now to unmute yourself. We will try to come back to that caller. Moving on to the next caller. Caller with the last three digits of 499. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin. Caller 499. I can see that you are unmuted. Can you try to begin your testimony, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you. Please proceed.
Great. Thank you. This is Carter Bundy, CarterBundy, with AFSCME, for the record. Madam Chair, members of the committee, we want to thank the sponsor and leadership for meeting with us multiple times about this bill. I want to be clear about a couple of things that have come up. First, we in no way oppose anything related to local government. There's one small piece of this bill that relates to local government. And we certainly agree with the sponsor that rating is inappropriate, so we have no position with respect to that section. Certainly with respect to Section 3 being stricken, that is good because honestly, that was ironically, that was an unconscionable raid of a sister union. AFSCME is currently organizing supervisory employees. That unit would have been split in half by Section 3, so we're glad that's gone. And there was also a part of Section 1 that would have siphoned off workers in the supervisory unit, state employees in the supervisory unit who would have gone to other units. So we are glad to see those gone because, frankly, those were straight up raids. So we are very much against raiding, and this initial bill did that. Even with respect to Section 2, however, dealing only with game control agents, that breaks an agreement between AFSCME and CWA about the important parameters of bargaining units in state employees. There can be all kinds of unintended consequences, and certainly it is of paramount importance to both AFSCME and CWA that union agreements be adhered to. While we deeply respect Rick McCann and certainly the workers involved, we cannot support legislation that abridges our union's mutual agreements over bargaining units without reaching agreement first. We respectfully ask that you oppose Senate Bill 286. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last 3 digits of 026. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Liz Sorensen, Liz, L-I-Z, last name S-O-R-E-N-S-O-N. I'm the political director for CWA District 9. CWA District 9 is in opposition of SB 286 for the following reasons. We believe this is a new law and simple legislative changes can have unintended consequences. Before bringing these matters before this body, CWA District 9 believes that we should have exhausted all administrative remedies. We may be back before you asking for this at some time in the future date, but presently we do not think it's prudent to move this legislation because of those possible unintended consequences. More importantly, obviously some members of the House of Labor are not united on this matter, so before we cause more division, CWA District 9 believes we should continue discussions and exhaust all remedies among our union brothers and sisters. We ask that the committee not move this bill forward at this time. Thank you for your time.
Next caller, please.
Caller with the last 3 digits of 987. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin. Caller with the last 3 digits of 987. Please press start. There we go. Thank you so much. Please begin.
Sorry, I pressed #6 instead. Apologies. My name is Cameron Hopkins, for the record. I'm a local union member, state employee of AFSCME. We're not here union busting. That's absolutely not what we do. We're also a union for state employees. The changes in Section 1, 4, both great. Support those. But splitting off Cat 2 peace officers breaks an agreement between AFSCME and CWA. We've already had CWA and AFSCME callers already. We deeply respect Mr. McCann representing PPACE, but we cannot stand by the bargaining unit parameters that have been set up between the unions to start to split. The changes made so far have been phenomenal, but I'm hoping that the committee finishes the process of removing the last remaining changes left in this almost already deleted bill. No one here wants union writing, but this bill is going to open up an agreement between two unions right when we have bargaining units certifying. Frankly, I don't want this to end up being used against any of the three unions that are here speaking today.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
If you recently just joined us, we are currently in opposition of SB 286. To testify in opposition, please press star 9 now. Caller with the last three digits of 403, please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin. Caller with the last three digits of 403. Sorry, you'll have to excuse me. I have dogs that are going crazy. I apologize, Chair. Caller with the last three digits of 403. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin. Caller with the last three digits of 403. Please press star 6 now to unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please continue.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Dubé, STEPHANIE DUBE. I am an AFSCME member of Local 4041, and I'm here to oppose SB 286. We are actively organizing and building our union. Carter Bundy spoke eloquently to the reason why we oppose it, and so thank you so much. If you could please oppose Senate Bill 286. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits of 785. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
My name is Sonia Witten, SONJAWHITTEN. I'm the Vice President of AFSCME Local 4041, and I'm speaking opposed to Senate Bill 286. As everyone who spoke in opposition previous to me, all of those reasons stated, I feel very strongly that this bill should not be moving forward, and I thank the committee for their time. And I in no way want to prevent workers from having the ability to organize and have collective bargaining rights. I just don't feel that this is the correct bill to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits of 960. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Peggy Bowen. Peggy, P-E-G-G-Y, Bowen, B as in boy, O, H as in Howard, N as in Nancy. I'm a longtime state employee and a member of AFSCME Local 4041. And as the speakers Bundy and Sorensen have stated, I agree with their testimony, and I am also in opposition. Thank you for your time and have a great weekend.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Chair, you have no more callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to neutral.
Testify neutral on SB 286. Please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last three digits of 000. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Senate Committee on Government Affairs. My name is Bruce Snyder, B-R-U-C-E-S-N-Y-D-E-R, no relation to Mike Snyder. I am the commissioner of a state agency called the Government Employee Management Relations Board, or EMRB, which regulates labor relations between Nevada's governments and the employee organizations that represent their employees. I offer my comments today in the neutral position. I would like to speak on sections 2 and 3. First, Section 2 would allow unclassified Category 2 peace officers, namely game and control agents, to have collective bargaining, along with the classified Category 2 peace officers, which have now had collective bargaining since 2019. Back in 2019, the EMRB received a motion requesting that the unclassified Category 2 peace officers be added by board action. The board denied the motion, noting that the bill was clear and only giving collective bargaining rights to classified employees. The board's order stated at the end of that section of the order, quote, if the legislature wanted to include certain exceptions in individuals, they would have done so. As such, it is up to the legislature to change the statute, unquote. With respect to Section 3, which I now understand is being amended out, the same thing happened in 2019 where there was a request to the board to split the supervisory unit into 2 subunits, one for peace officers and one for all other supervisors. The board denied the motion, again pointing to the plain language of the statute. The board's order in this particular instance stated, quote, it is the legislature's duty and role to change or amend the language of the statute and not this board, unquote. In summary, I speak today to affirm the board's deference to the legislature as the duly elected body to make such policy decisions. The EMRB takes pride in administering the law as written and will continue to do so faithfully with respect to any changes that may be made by this body in regards to this bill or any other bill affecting our statute. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
If you recently just joined us, we are currently in neutral testimony for SB 286. To testify neutral, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, for those of you that recently just joined us, we are currently neutral on SB 286. To testify neutral, please press star 9 now. Caller with the last 3 digits of 309, please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Hi, my name is Adam Tatey, first name A-D-A-M, last name T-E-T-I. And I apologize, Madam Chair and Committee, I am a little bit late to the meeting. I actually wanted to vote in support. I'm the current president of the Nevada State Law Enforcement Officers Association. I'd just like to voice my support for SB 286. We support the bill and collective bargaining rights for the gaming control agents. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Chair, you have no more callers neutral at this time.
All right. Well, with that, Mr. McCann or Mr. Snyder, do you have any follow-up to finish up that particular bill?
Mike, how about you first?
I would defer to you, Rick, with respect to that. I didn't see any opposition to the portion that affects PPACE, and I would leave it to you.
I would agree with that. And the other thing I would offer, Madam Chair, is that when we talk about the exhaustion of the remedies, well, that would be the EMRB. I think you just heard that was an attempt that was made 1.5 years ago or whatever it was, and they deferred to you. The last thing is that there was a comment made that this opens up Section 2 of the gaming control opens up bargaining units. I have to remind everybody, they are already Category 2 officers. They are part of our group. We're not out there in the wind. We're not trying to grab them. There's not a wrestle to get who's going to get them. They are already part of the Cat 2s, which we represent. I just want to make that clear. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCann and Mr. Snyder. And we appreciate your time today. And with that, I will close the hearing on Senate Bill 286, and we will jump to Senate. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Maybe I'm out of order, and please throw something at me if you need to. May we anticipate we could have a work session to vote this bill out today?
We will be doing the work session, sir, when we were done listening to all the bills, and then we will do the work session.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, sir. All right. With that, we will move to Senate Bill 298, and I'm just trying to move us all along so we're not here for breakfast, lunch, and dinner tomorrow. So we'll start with Senate Bill 298, and we have Senator Kekeffer, who has joined us here in good old government affairs today. And Senator Kekeffer, we are happy to see you, and please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, for the record, my name is Ben Kekeffer. I represent Senate District 16. I'm going to go for a gold star in brevity today, Madam Chair, and I'm going to present very briefly Senate Bill 298 and its intent. I'll then turn it over to Lynn O'Mara with the Northern Nevada Development Authority and another testifier to talk a little bit about what we're trying to do, and then I will walk through the bill. So the committee is aware. I have prepared and submitted and is uploaded on Nellis a conceptual amendment to the bill that is an attempt to address the concerns of a couple of different parties that had reached out to me for the purposes of clarity for the committee. This also incorporates recommended amendments proposed by GOED, and I hope that I have encapsulated them appropriately. So the bill before you updates our inland port laws. Nevada's history is plentiful with the importance of freight and railroads to our state. It was the founding need behind the city of Las Vegas was as a way station for a new railroad going through. It's obviously a critical part of Northern Nevada's economic development history and infrastructure. And I think the general consensus is that freight and rail will be a critical part of our future as well. So this is a bill to primarily update our inland port laws, which were put into statute in 2011. And since that time, there have been no inland ports created. So I think that there is some additional work to be done in this space to make sure that our statute is meeting the needs of the reality on the ground when it comes to this concept. And with that, I will turn it over to Ms. O'Mara with the NNDA to talk a little bit about what the concept entails.
Go ahead, please, when you're ready.
Thank you.
We don't hear you. We don't hear you. Yeah, we don't have any sound. Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, now talk. We don't hear you. Broadcasting, can you possibly help?
Yes, Chair, this is broadcast. May we take a brief recess?
Yes, ma'am. Are we ready, broadcasting?
We are unmuted. Go ahead, Chair.
Thank you very much. Sorry for the delay coming back in from recess. It does look like Ms. O'Mara is muted, but we will see if maybe she can work that out. In the meantime, Senator Keffer, would you mind going through the bill and giving us some overview so that we can keep moving here?
Absolutely. I appreciate it, Madam Chair. Again, Ben Keffer for the record. And as I had indicated in the opening remarks, this is an update to our existing inland port statutes. That's included in Chapter 277B of NRS. So the bill before you are those updates. And what I'm going to do, Madam Chair, to try to make it clean is walk through the bill while referencing the conceptual amendment that I've proposed, so that we can just walk through it once and you'll be clear about what I'm trying to propose.
That's great. That's great. You'll get a gold star when you're done. Thank you.
All right, that's what I'm looking for. So thank you, Madam Chair. Section 2 creates some additional powers for the Executive Director of the Governor's Office of Economic Development. This creates a regulatory power for GOED to prescribe the requirements for operating an inland port, for the application of creating an inland port, and all of those various factors in subsections 1 and 2 of Section 3. So as you move through the bill, where we're making big changes, Section 6, I'd like to point out in particular, because it really is two of the main changes that are being proposed. And what it indicates is that we're going to take out the requirement that an inland port be in a contiguous land area. So you could create an inland port that is non-contiguous for the purpose of potentially creating a multi-regional inland port dynamic. Another major change that you would see in Section 6, where the strike through in subsection 1, paragraph B, it also strikes out that it can't include any residential property. So the idea here is that there are some areas, particularly in the northern part of the state, that an inland port may want to capture some residential property, and that would be disallowed by the current statute, and it would make sense to allow that at the will of those property owners. So as you look at Section 6, I'm going to propose one of the proposed amendments. Number 1 would be to retain the language that's currently being struck out in Section 3, paragraphs A and B. And that is in response to a request from municipal airports to ensure that they remain a part of the process if their land is being incorporated into the boundaries of a inland port. As you continue walking through the bill, Madam Chair and Committee, the Section 7 continues to incorporate some of the authority of the Executive Director of GOED and makes some of those powers more explicit with the Executive Director rather than the office generally. Section 8 is another area that is being proposed for amendment in the conceptual amendment I've outlined for you. That is in number 2 on the conceptual amendment, and it would be to retain that strikeout portion that you see on lines 37 through 41 of the bill. This is in response to a suggestion from the Governor's Office of Economic Development, which makes sense to me, that says that as an inland port is created, it should be done so in a way that retains all of those descriptions: a boundary of the inland port, the location of the principal office of the authority, the name of the port and the authority, and then the number of directors that are going to serve. If you look at Section 9 of the bill, we're going to have some additional proposed corrections as are outlined in the amendment under number 3. This is also in response to a suggestion by the Governor's Office of Economic Development to ensure that when local governments participate in the creation of inland ports, that they retain their appointing authority to the boards of directors. So that is the proposal to keep in all of the language that you see between lines ultimately 11 and the end of that page on page 5 of the bill down to line 45. When you get to page 6 of the bill, section 9, subsection 4, there was an insertion of language that would have exempted inland ports from the public meeting law. I propose that we strike subsection 4 in its entirety. That is amendment number 4 that you see in the conceptual amendment that would ensure that inland ports continue to comply with open meeting law as they're required to do under the current statute. There are some conforming changes to ensure that that happens. I outlined a couple of them in the proposed amendment, such as striking section 15 and retaining one of the lead lines of the repealed sections at the end of the bill. There may be others. I just want to make sure that the intent is clear so that if the bill proceeds, that LCB in drafting the amendment can incorporate any other changes that might be necessary to capture that intent of making all the open meeting law. And then finally, Madam Chair, if you look at one of the other requests from the Governor's Office of Economic Development that I think is really important would be for them to do an updated study on inland ports in Nevada that specifically addresses each of the state's 3 megapolitan regions that are delineated in the Nevada Plan for Recovery and Resilience created by SRI that was just released as the updated state plan for economic development. There's been a lot of work put into freight and rail service in the state. Just recently, in March, the state released the Nevada plan for the Nevada State Rail Plan, and the freight plan is upcoming. There was recently a conference on this plan that outlined a lot of the possibilities that come forward, and I believe that this bill is designed primarily to update our statutes to make sure that if people decide to proceed with creating an inland port as a component of rail development and economic development in our state, that they're able to do so. And I do have one additional person, I believe, who is on to testify. That's Mr. Justin Lichter with Industrial Realty Group, and he's working on a proposal for service in northern Nevada in the Fernley area. And with your indulgence, Madam Chair, I think you could talk a little bit more specifically about the impact that the bill could have on that type of development.
Thank you very much, Senator Keffer. And Ms. Amara has joined us via phone. So, Ms. Amara, I don't know what you heard of Senator Keffer, but he did go over the bill. So if you want to, shorten your comments, you probably don't need to do that piece again. If you want to do that, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me okay?
We can. Thank you.
Great. For the record, I'm Lynn O'Mara, and I'm the Director of Communications for Northern Nevada Development Authority. We are the Regional Development Authority for Carson City, as well as Douglas, Lyon, Mineral, and Story counties. We are happy to be here today in support of Senate Bill 298, which we did assist with developing some of the language based on feedback from our stakeholders. And what we do, I do have a short presentation. It's not necessary. I have my entire testimony has been uploaded to Nellis and provides a lot of the background information as to the impetus for this bill. However, I'd be happy to go through anything in a little more detail or simply to answer questions at the pleasure of the chair.
Senator Keffer, I'm going to let you weigh in on that because you know what's coming and I don't. If you'd like the presentation, I'm happy to see it. If you think we can move on, just let me know.
Madam Chair, you've got a committee made of people who have been doing this for a while. I don't know if you need to see it at this point. I'd like to hear from Mr. Lichter, if that's possible.
That's absolutely possible. Thank you. Mr. Lichter?
Hi, everybody. I'm Justin Lichter. I work with Industrial Realty Group. And do I need to say anything else for your
no, just that we have your name. So just go ahead, please, and give your testimony.
Okay, great. I am in support of the bill as a company. We're a nationwide real estate company. We have over 100 million square feet in 30 states and do a lot of large projects. For example, we took over McClellan Air Force Base in Sacramento, California, vacant. We now have 15,000 jobs on the site, 250 companies operate the airport, and a lot of rail infrastructure there as well. So we do a lot of reuse projects, value add projects, and really focus on growth in the communities and job creation. We see this bill as a really positive bill for the area and the whole state of Nevada. It can take a lot of traffic off the road with truck traffic and bring a lot of jobs and manufacturing to the area to help diversify the economy. We are really excited about the opportunity, not just for us, but for the whole region.
Thank you very much. Senator Keffer, any follow-up before we go to questions?
No, Madam Chair, I'll leave it there to allow the committee to ask questions. I'll just point out as well that Mr. Sanchez with the Governor's Office of Economic Development for questions. Obviously, as a part of the executive branch, she's not testifying in support, but I wanted to make sure that we had some subject matter expertise available from GOED.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Lichter, and thank you, Ms. Amara, as we work through these virtual problems that we sometimes encounter. With that, I'll ask the committee if anybody has any questions.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Neal, please go ahead.
Thank you. So I'll start off with this. I understand inland ports. I was here when Marilyn Kirkpatrick had it as her legislation, and we were thinking about how to do, the cross boundaries. So getting commerce moving between Utah, Nevada, California to Nevada, Oregon to Nevada. So it makes sense. However, the part where you guys are adding residential, where basically we're talking about freight, we're talking about truck routes, where now you're including the residential areas as being a part of the inland port zone. I have like a huge problem with that, and how you're no longer confining it to be inside of a county, which means it could be all over the place. And then my third issue is the private ability to create the inland port, where to me that's the scope of that power and the expansion of that power is problematic for me. I see the combination thereof, but creating an inland port is, to me, is a government function, not a private company function. So those are my concerns. I'm just trying to condense it all.
Thank you. Madam Chair, through you to Mr. Senator Neal. I know that there are an incredible number of these types of ports throughout the country. I can't speak to their entire governance structure. Perhaps Mr. Sanchez could weigh in as to his knowledge on that subject, as to whether we're sort of creating something that's entirely new or whether this is something that works well in other jurisdictions.
Madam Chair. I can weigh in on that also, or go ahead, Mr. Sanchez.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Chris Sanchez, Deputy Director of Governor's Office of Economic Development, for the record. Thank you, Senator Neal, for the question. A couple of points. Yes, so one of the ports to look at is the Kansas City Smart Port. And in fact, they have much a structure that's public-private partnership, where they've got private industry represented as well as government entities. And in doing so, ensure that the port operations meet the demand of industry, as well as the concerns of local government and the jurisdictions that are included and represented by the Port Authority. With respect to the residential component, one of the things that this bill does is that it allows for a non-contiguous nature of a port. That's important in that if you think of Southern Nevada, for instance, the inclusion of Apex and the South Valley, south of the M Resort, could be included in one inland port authority. And as we look at, as we move forward with infrastructure development in Nevada, we're very much focused on ecosystem and networks. And as you astutely pointed out, those networks extend beyond state borders. And so we're trying to align, or the thought is anyway, as we looked at this through the SRI, research that was done, one of the recommendations was that we take a broader look at our place in those networks and in those ecosystems. And so we're looking at it through the model Senator Kekeffer had mentioned as those megapolitan regions in the state. And if there is a desire of the committee to allow for non-contiguous port authorities, by the way that those boundaries would be delineated out, residential areas would be included. Because if we included, for instance, Apex and the South Valley, for instance, if there were to be development out there, then we would have that would be the case. However, I would say that the actual facilities that are included in the report and those that are moving freight around would be under the jurisdiction of the board, and the board would have representatives of the localities and the jurisdictions represented there. So hopefully that's helpful in answering the question.
Thank you for that, Madam Chair. Just really quick. So if it goes through a residential process, I'm not pulling up the statute right now from 2011, but so it was excluded, right, for all of these years. Now you're plugging it back in. So what then are the appeal rights or the objections of residents where now they are now being included in this kind of inland port? Because we are talking about rail, we're talking about moving freight, or at least the expansion of it. So in 2011 we didn't have to deal with it because it was excluded, right? Residential was not a part of it. So and I didn't see the provisions in this version that allowed some kind of objection or appeal process, right? Because typically if it is housed at GoEd, I don't see the pathway. Do you know what this pathway will be?
Madam Chair, Chris Sanchez for the record. Yeah, thanks again for the question, Senator Neal. It's one of those things where we're happy to work with the committee and with you, Senator Neal, on making sure that we've got those interests represented and making sure that there's no negative impact on our residents of our communities. One of the things that is important is how freight flows, as you're hinting on, through our communities, and making sure that those freight flows are efficient and that we are not a weak link in the chain, so to speak. And so one of the things that we're very much looking into is how freight is flowing through the state, where we have bottlenecks, where we need to improve and enhance our infrastructure to ensure that those freight flows are seamless and add value to the shippers. And so we certainly wouldn't want an instance where we were impacting our residents negatively or industry. So moving forward, happy to work with you and the committee on making sure that those things are addressed.
Thank you for that, Madam Chair. I'm done.
Okay. Don't go anywhere. We got more to do. Thank you very much. Additional questions from the committee. Senator Gocochea, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I also am glad to see the amendment from Senator Kekeffer. I was a little concerned anytime it's non-contiguous. Technically, I was just a case in point. We've got rail at Palisade. We've got an airport in Diamond Valley. It's only 70 miles in between. Is that truly an inland port? So, I think we're going to have to, along Senator Neal's line, there has to be at least some sideboards. That's one municipality, Eureka County. So, you've got the rail, you've got the airport and a municipal airport, and definitely over 4,500 feet. So, I like the bill. I understand where you're headed with it. But when it gets to be non-contiguous, then do we get the rail in Fernley, the airport in Reno, and the highway system clearly would be 80. But I'm kind of concerned about you only have to have 2 of the 3, so maybe you don't need the airport. We've got the 80 corridor, everything can head east out of a rail junction in Fernley. Is that kind of the thoughts?
I think that's right. Excuse me, Ben Kiefer for the record. I think that's right, Senator. The original statute only required the 2 of the 3, as I recall, assuming I'm reading it correctly. And yeah, so the current statute only requires 2 of the 3. I think all 3 would probably be a little burdensome. And maybe Mr. Lichter could talk a little bit about what he envisions out in the Fernley area. But yeah, I think, and Ms. Neal certainly makes certain important points about the need for protection of residential communities as a part of this, and it's certainly not the intent to override residents.
Madam Chair, thank you, Senator.
Thank you very much, Senator. Additional questions? Senator Hansen, you're awful quiet today. Any questions, sir?
I know you love to hear from me, but actually I don't. Here's my thoughts on this thing. I hate these last minute bills. I realize we're doing the best we can. Normally I just vote no. On this particular bill, I'm going to end up voting, if you bring it to work session, yes, but with the understanding that the requirements that Senator Neal has been promised that the bill's people will take care of will in fact happen. So that means basically if Senator Neal on the floor says no, I'll say no. So hopefully you guys can make her happy. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. All right. Any other additional questions, Vice Chair Orenshaw, before we go to support?
Thank you, Chair, and I appreciate the sponsor working with the Open Government Coalition. I know in the prior version there were some concerns about transparency and the open meeting law, so thank you very much for working with that, and I applaud GoEd for all the tremendous work it's doing to try to attract business to the state. And I think I'm ditto with my colleague from Sparks. I'll follow Senator Neal's lead. If she's happy with it on the floor, I'll be happy, and so let's keep her happy.
Okay.
Madam Chair, can I make one more comment based on some of the questions?
Please. Absolutely, please.
Great, thank you. This is Justin Lichter again, for the record. I just wanted to mention, based on the residential concerns related to how things could lay out, that typically in local zoning code there would be a clause about residential adjacency to an industrial property with what they can do. So in most areas, the industrial use of the inland port wouldn't be allowed specifically within a residential area. There would be some sort of limitation setbacks in the zoning code.
Thank you very much. That's helpful information. Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Senator Kiefer, anything before we go to support?
No, I appreciate it, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, broadcasting, if you'll queue up anybody who might be in support in our line.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support of SB 298, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits of 060, please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin. Caller 060, I can see that you are unmuted. There we go. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Chair, Don Daraloop, and honorable members of the committee. For the record, my name is Derek Hemd. Last name is spelled H-E-M-B-D. I'm president of 6 Code Nevada. We support Senate Bill 298 and have submitted a letter of support to the committee. However, I don't see it listed in the exhibit online. Thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, and we'll make sure that it's listed. Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Thank you, Chair. Caller with the last 3 digits of 700, please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good evening, Madam Chair. My name is Brian Wachter, BRYANWACHTER. I serve as the Senior Vice President of the Retail Association of Nevada. We are in strong support of this measure, Senate Bill 298. We believe it is going to help diversify our economy and provide us new tools going forward. We were in support of this when the last time the legislature considered this policy, and we are happy to support it again today, and we urge your committee to do so as well. Thank you for the opportunity, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits of 124. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. Paul Moradkan, MORADKHAN, with the Vegas Chamber. The Vegas Chamber is in support of this bill as well. We were supportive of this initiative several legislative sessions ago. We do believe that this bill will provide another tool to our state in our efforts in economic diversification, job creation, as we work to recover from the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits of 068. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Chair, members of the committee, for the record, Aaron West, that's AARONWEST, as CEO of the Nevada Builders Alliance, on behalf of our more than 1,000 member companies. We are in full support of this bill, and I will just say ditto in the interest of brevity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
If you recently just joined us, we are currently in support of SB 298. To testify in support, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last three digits of 781. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. Nick Vanderpool with Capital Partners here today on behalf of the Reno-Sparks Chamber of Commerce. As stated by many of my colleagues, SB 298 is a very good bill in terms of economic development, commerce, jobs, economic diversification. We encourage your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Chair, you have no more callers left in support at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition.
To testify in opposition of SB 298, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last three digits of 792. Please slowly spell and state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
This is Patrick Donnelly, PATRICK DONNELLY. I'm Nevada State Director with the Center for Biological Diversity. Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. We are opposed to SB 298. I sent a letter to committee members this morning detailing our opposition, but it's on Nellis labeled as a support letter for some reason. Just want to clarify it's an opposition letter. Just a word about inland ports. They are dirty and polluting, dramatically increasing truck and train traffic to the areas that are cited. And this huge amount of traffic negatively impacts air quality and significantly increases overall carbon emissions. Inland ports are sweetheart deals for industry that can have negative environmental impacts. However, with that aside, Nevada already has legislation for inland ports, NRS 277B. The law already gives the Inland Port Authority boards expansive powers related to inland port designation and rulemaking. There really is no need for this legislation. SB 298 puts extraordinary powers into the hands of Inland Port Authority boards and the executive director of GOED. Right now, a county or municipality has to approve an inland port designation through ordinance. SB 298 would allow the Inland Port Authority Board to summarily nominate an inland port, and it would allow it to be approved by the director of GOED, bypassing the formal ordinance process. Also, this bill would allow areas designated inland ports to include private residences. Can you imagine waking up one day and a board of industry insiders has nominated your house to be a shipping and logistics center, and it was approved by an unelected political appointee? This is not how we want to do business in Nevada. We do appreciate the bill sponsor's amendment addressing the open government concerns. I admit the reason you didn't hear about this from me earlier is I just was alerted to this bill last night. But now here it is, deadline day. You're just hearing about the bill now and how it may be extremely problematic. It seems like this would be a good bill to leave by the wayside on deadline. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Donnelly. We'll make sure that your letter gets in the right opposition. And this bill has been online on Nellis, listed as Senate Bill 298 for quite a bit. We did agendize that, but that is not unusual. So thank you very much. And we'll go to the next caller, please.
Those of you that recently just joined us, we are currently neutral on SB 298. I'm sorry, we are currently in opposition. To testify in opposition of 298, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Sarah, you have no more callers opposition at this time.
Thank you very much. Can we go to neutral, please?
If you would like to testify neutral on SB 298, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, to testify neutral on SB 298, please press star 9 now. Sarah, you have no callers neutral at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, we will close the hearing unless you have any other additional comments, Senator Kekeffer.
Tremendous. Thank you for your time, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Then we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 298. And that, my committee, takes us to work session. So if you will open up your binders or folders to work session, I will let Ms. Keller start us off, and we'll move forward.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Elisa Keller, Committee Policy Analyst. The work session document for the bills under consideration are posted as exhibits to today's meeting on Nellis. And the first bill for the committee's consideration is Senate Bill 4, revises provisions relating to the imposition of certain penalties by ordinance for violations relating to fireworks, sponsored on behalf of Clark County and heard by this committee on March 3rd. Senate Bill 4 clarifies that criminal or civil penalties, or both, may be imposed for violation of an ordinance that regulates the sale, use, storage, and possession of fireworks. The bill also provides that a civil penalty imposed may not exceed $50,000 for a single violation. Subsequent to the hearing on the bill, a conceptual amendment was proposed by Clark County and is included in the work session document. And the amendment makes the following changes to the bill. At subsection 1B of section 1, reduces the maximum penalty that may be assessed for a single violation from $50,000 to $10,000. At paragraph C to subsection 1 of section 1, clarifies that the civil penalties proposed do not apply if a license or permit has been issued by a county or city. At subsection 3 to section 2, requires a board of county commissioners to consider, in setting criminal and civil penalties, certain mandatory factors, including the number of prior violations, if any, and the severity of the violation. At subsection 4 to section 2, exempts any person under 18 years of age, unless the person has been declared emancipated from the imposition of civil penalties, and adds a new section of the bill to make conforming changes to NRS 244.33509. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Ms. Keller. And I would just like to remind everybody that while we don't take testimony at work session, we can ask clarifying questions. So are there any clarifying questions from the committee?
Madam Chair, I just have
Yes, ma'am.
I support the changes in here, but I just wanted to make sure that the exemption for persons under 18 also apply to the criminal charge. I only see it applying to the civil.
Ms. Keller, is that a Ms. Clarkson question?
I would defer to legal counsel.
Thank you. For the record, this is Heidi Clarkson. It does look like the language proposed by Clark County as it relates to persons under the age of 18 only exempts from the civil penalty. However, if Clark County is available, Joanna Jacob may be able to provide clarification as to whether or not her intent was only to exclude from civil or if there's intent to also exclude from criminal penalties as well.
Thank you very much. Ms. Jacob, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair Dondero. Loop through you to Senator Neal. We can agree to that change. When we looked back, it's very rare that we penalize minors on this, so we can make that clear with the amendment, and happy to make that verbal amendment and change.
Thank you. I would appreciate that. I don't want anybody going to jail for storage of fireworks that happens to be 17.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions? Senator Goicoechea, did I see your hand? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And just a quick clarification. So we have a $10,000 maximum penalty, but again, by ordinance, they will establish, kind of the parameters of those civil and criminal penalties. They'll have the ability to, if it's only a box of firecrackers versus a truckload. So we would hope that the ordinance, if you had a box of them, you're not going to get hit for $10,000.
Madam Chair, would you like me to address that? Joanna Jacob, for the record, Government Affairs Manager for Clark County. Through you, Chair, to Senator Goicoechea. That's the intent of that language. It's very similar to the language that's in NRS today under NRS 477, allowing the fire marshal to tier at the regulatory level so that he can make those distinctions. And that would be the intent of that language, Senator Goicoechea, that we could take testimony at the local level and determine the tiers within that, so we can continue under the language proposed. We can consider the factors as the severity of the violation that would address your issue about box of firecrackers versus large quantities of fireworks, and in addition, the number of prior violations. And that was something that we added in response to concerns at the hearing. So thank you.
Madam Chair, and I just want to make sure that's the intent of the bill, or the way I read the bill, it is the ordinance that would impose it. It's not the fire marshal.
Madam Chair, through you to Senator Goicoechea. Yes, that's correct. We are talking about the Board of County Commissioners shall have power and jurisdiction to pass ordinances, and that is the existing law. So the ordinance would set forth the tiers. That is correct, Senator Goicoechea. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jacobs. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Any additional committee comments? Seeing none. Vice Chair Ornschell, please go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Chair. And I'll be supporting the bill and the amendment. And I just wanted to point out some information I shared with the chair and committee members. I asked for some information from the state regarding wildland fires in Nevada that were caused by fireworks. The information that I was given, that I've distributed to the chair and the committee members, is that from 2015 through 2019, 397 wildfires are attributed to having been started by fireworks. Additionally, information was given to me that for the Bureau of Land Management in the Winnemucca and Battle Mountain districts between 2016 and 2021, they had 8 fireworks-related fires in those districts. Those fires consumed 439,238 acres. The related fire suppression cost reached $11,300,208. Certainly, I applaud this effort to try to deal with this issue. I think more needs to be done, but I think this is a good start. I think till we get to the source of some of these very dangerous fireworks, we're still going to have a problem, but I'll be supporting the bill.
Thank you very much. And with that, I'll entertain a motion. Senator Hansen, sorry. You're muted, sir.
There, finally. I'm sorry.
There you go. Okay,
Hooray, I can figure out the technology. Actually, the vice chair's comments, I just want to say one thing about that, because that's in my district. While it is true that the fireworks started the fire, The real reason that the fire burned, almost 500,000 acres was because they hadn't grazed it properly for years. They cut back on livestock grazing, and the fuels had built up and built up and built up. So while the actual start of the fire was fireworks, the reason it burned so many acres was because of some range mismanagement by the BLM. But anyway, just want to get that on the record.
Thank you. Okay, I'll look for a motion, please. Vice Chair Arnshaw, is that what you were raising your hand on, or?
Chair, I'll move amended do pass.
Thank you very much. I'll take a second.
Second.
Second from Senator Neal. Any discussion on the motion? All right, if we could do a roll call vote, please.
Vice Chair Arnshaw,
Yes.
Senator Gokachia,
Yes.
Senator Neal,
Yes.
Senator Hansen,
Yes.
Chair Don Daraloop.
Yes. Motion passes. And Vice Chair Arnshaw, would you like the floor statement on this?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you very much. And with that, if the committee doesn't mind, I'd like to jump to work session Bill 297. Senator Spearman has another appointment or another meeting that she needs to get to. So if I could jump to 297, I would do that. I believe she's waiting for us to do this bill. So with that, Ms. Keller, would you jump the agenda and do that, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Elisa Keller, Committee Policy Analyst. Senate Bill 297 revises provisions relating to agriculture, sponsored by Senator Spearman and was heard by this committee on April 7th. Senate Bill 297 requires the urban agriculture element of a master plan prepared by a planning commission to include a plan to inventory vacant buildings and blighted structures in the city or county, and requires the Council on Food Security to research and develop recommendations on community gardens and urban farms. The bill also authorizes a board of county commissioners to approve a tax credit equal to 10% of a parcel's property taxes if the property owner's application to allow the property to be used as a community garden or urban farm for a period of not less than 5 years is approved. The bill authorizes a city or county to use vacant or blighted land or other real property owned by the city or county for urban farming. Additionally, the bill authorizes the state land registrar to lease property for less than fair market value and the Department of Transportation to lease property for $1 per year for use as community gardens and urban farms. Finally, the bill requires a city, a county, the state land registrar, and the department to prioritize community gardens and urban farms that meet certain criteria. After the hearing, a conceptual amendment, which is included in the work session document, was proposed by Senator Spearman, and that amendment makes the following changes to the bill. Amends Section 1, subsection 1I, to delete the second instance of other real property, and instead add a new sentence which provides, the inventory plan may also address other real property in the city or county as deemed appropriate by the applicable commission or governing body. Amends Section 3 to specify that Section 3 provides for an abatement of ad valorem taxes, not a tax credit, for an owner of property who intends to allow the land to be used as a community garden or urban farm. Retains the provisions which authorize the county to make the determination of whether to approve the abatement. However, also provides that along with the application, the applicant must submit to the county proof that if the community garden or urban farm is located within a city, local land use, and any other regulatory approval for the community garden has been obtained. Provide that the abatement is effective on the July 1st following approval. Clarify that if approved, the abatement is valid for 5 years, after which the applicant may reapply. If a property owner does not fulfill the terms of the agreement for a period of 5 years, The property owner must repay the amount of the abatement plus interest for that 5-year period. Require the property owner to record a document related to the abatement with the county recorder as a means to provide constructive notice so that if the property is sold, the new owner will be notified of the conditions of the abatement, and the requirement to repay the abatement if the new owner fails to comply with the conditions. Add a provision directing the appropriate agency to monitor the parcel and notify the assessor and treasurer each year regarding whether the parcel continues to qualify for the abatement and whether the payback provisions should be implemented. Amend sections 4, subsection 3, section 5, subsection 2, and section 6, subsection 2, to authorize rather than require local governments and the state land registrar to prioritize community gardens and urban farms that meet the listed factors. Amend section 6 to move the new provision from chapter 321 of NRS to chapter 322, and authorize all public water authorities, districts, and systems in the state of Nevada and all private entities with which any county in the state has an agreement regarding the planning, development, or distribution of water resources, or any combination thereof, to provide water at a wholesale or reduced rate for community gardens and urban farms. So that concludes my summary of the conceptual amendment submitted by Senator Spearman. But also recently, a conceptual amendment was proposed by the Nevada Division of State Lands, Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, and that amendment is available to the Committee on Nellis.
Thank you very much. And with that, committee members, any questions? Seeing none, Senator Goicoechea, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I've got a couple pieces in here that I'm a little concerned about, especially in the conceptual amendment to Section 3, Sub 5. Again, is it the plan that even a private water company would have to provide water at a wholesale rate? And then again, do they have to provide the infrastructure to get it there? That one amendment really concerns me.
Madam Chair.
Senator Spearman, would you like to address that?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, through you to Senator Goicoechea. Both amendments that have been read have gone through NACO and the land manager. So I don't know that the language conveys what we were really trying to do. When I say we, I mean those who were initially in on drafting the bill and those who we talked to a few days ago. If you have an issue with that, I can certainly have legal take a look at it and tighten up the language.
Well, thank you, Senator Spearman. And all private entities, that really does concern me. Again, we're mandating. And then again, the other question would be, do they have to deliver the water? It's one thing at a rate, but it's another if they have to provide the infrastructure.
I'm sorry, Senator Goicoechea, you were going in and out, said something about water.
Senator Spearman. Yeah, and again, I'll get off mute. Sometimes my space button seems to come apart. I'm concerned about it. It says all private entities in the state, in any county or in the state, or distribution for water resources. I'm just concerned about, the private sector having to provide water at a reduced rate and or the infrastructure to deliver that. I'm just kind of concerned about just how far-reaching that would be. I definitely support the concept of urban gardens, especially in the inner city, but that could almost take you out to the point where an irrigation district would have to supply water. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you to Senator Goicoechea. The intent is not to be far-reaching into private lands. I believe, and I was looking for that part of the amendment, I believe what we were looking at is when the city or the county sets the ordinance, they set everything else that follows. If that portion there is an issue, like I said, I can certainly get with our legal team and with NACO, and we can tighten up the language.
And that's fine as long as it still has to be approved through the county ordinance. You can hear me. I'm going to figure out where the mic is on this computer one of these days.
Yeah, and there's and I can't remember where it is, but I know it's above everything else that you just mentioned. Whatever the city or the county, because the city didn't want to be bound by something that the county would do countywide. They wanted the leeway to be able to determine how or if they were going to do something like this. So everything else that falls under that is really determined by the governmental entity that prescribes the ordinance.
Thank you, Senator Spearman. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Spearman and Senator Gocochea. Any additional questions? All right, without any questions, I'll take a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to amend and do pass with the amendment Senator Spearman has in the work session document.
Thank you very much. And a second?
Second.
Senator Neal, second. Any discussion on the motion? Yes.
It's both amendments, right? The land.
Yeah. Yes. Senator Spearman is nodding her head. It is both amendments. And with that, can we take a roll call vote, please?
Vice Chair Orenshaw,
Yes.
Senator Gocochea,
Yes, and reserve my right.
Senator Neal,
Yes.
Senator Hansen,
Yes.
Chair Don Daraloop.
Yes. And with that, the motion passes, and I'll ask Senator Spearman to do the floor statement. And thank you very much for allowing us to go out of order. And so with that.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and for the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll go back to Senate Bill 57.
Lisa Keller, Committee Policy Analyst. Senate Bill 57 revises provisions governing the imposition of certain special assessments by a board of county commissioners, sponsored on behalf of Clark County and heard by this committee on March 3rd. Senate Bill 57 authorizes a board of county commissioners to recover an unpaid fine or fee or an offense related to real property by making the unpaid fine or fee a special assessment against the real property, which may be collected in the same manner as ordinary county taxes. The bill also eliminates the requirements that 180 days or 12 months as applicable have elapsed, and that the amount of civil penalties be more than $5,000 for a special assessment to be imposed. 2 conceptual amendments were proposed at the hearing. Clark County proposed an amendment that is included in the work session document to retain the requirement that the amount of the uncollected civil penalties must be greater than $5,000. And the City of Las Vegas and the Nevada League of Cities proposed a friendly amendment adding 2 new sections to the bill to additionally amend NRS 268.4122 and 268.4124 to eliminate the requirement that 180 days or 12 months as applicable passed for a special assessment to be imposed. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And with that, any questions from the committee? Senator Hansen.
A quick question. I can't remember. Is this the bill dealing with the Airbnb issue and where people were using them for party houses and all that? Am I mixing this up with a different one?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Any additional comments or questions from the committee? With that, I will take a motion.
Amend and do pass.
Amend and do pass from Senator Neal. A second.
Second.
Second from Vice Chair Orenshaw. Any discussion on the motion? Yes, Senator Hansen.
Just real quick, one thing I think Clark County better realize is Airbnbs are exceptionally popular and even getting more popular. It kind of reminds me of the debate we were having years ago between the Taxi Cab Authority and Lyft and Uber. I mean, they need to come up with a plan to tax the Airbnbs for the room tax, just like they do with the other ones. So anyway, I'm gonna oppose this because I think the Airbnb thing is actually a good thing in the long run. But I do think Clark County needs to just deal with the reality. And when there are abuses, they need to go after those abuses, which I think the bill's trying to do. But
Thank you very much, Senator Gokachia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And maybe I don't understand the full issue, but given the testimony in the hearing, I can't support this bill. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, I will ask for a roll call vote.
Vice Chair Orenshaw,
Yes, but reserving my right. I still have some concerns. I appreciate all the work Clark County has done, but I still have some concerns. Yes, reserve my right.
Senator Gokachia,
No.
Senator Neal,
Yes, but with reservation.
Senator Hansen,
no.
Chair Don Daraloop.
Yes. And with that, the motion passes 3-2. And I will take the floor statement on that. We'll go to Senate Bill 77.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Elisa Keller, Committee Policy Analyst. Senate Bill 77 was heard by this committee on February 10th and is sponsored on behalf of the Legislative Committee on Public Lands. Senate Bill 77 exempts from the requirements of the open meeting law certain meetings conducted by a public body that has entered into a memorandum of understanding or other agreement with a federal agency regarding a decision under the National Environmental Policy Act. The bill allows the public body to hold a closed meeting to engage in pre-decisional and deliberative discussions on the subject of the MOU or agreement. The bill requires that any such discussion must occur before a final decision is adopted by the federal agency under NEPA and be kept confidential under the MOU or other agreement with the federal agency. As introduced, Section 2 of the bill provides that any information or materials exchanged between a public body and a federal agency for the purposes of engaging in the pre-decisional and deliberative discussions are confidential and not a public record. After the hearing, a conceptual amendment, which is included in the work session document proposed by Senator Goycochea, the amendment clarifies that a public body may hold a closed meeting to engage in pre-decisional and deliberative discussions on the subject of the MOU or other agreement with the federal agency on an action under NEPA, requires that any such closed meeting must occur only during the period prior to the federal agency public release and comment period on the NEPA document and before a final decision is adopted by the federal agency, and be required by the federal agency to be kept confidential under the MOU or other agreement, and deletes Section 2 of the bill, thereby deleting provisions deeming information and materials exchanged confidential and not a public record. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on the information on Senate Bill 77?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Neal.
On Section 2, the deletion, because that was my understanding that was kind of offering the exception so that, yeah, if it was closed, they could, by court order, then go in and try to request the information that was exchanged. And now that's deleted. So that means that there is no access to get the information.
Madam Chair, I believe Jake Tippett, who's actually the sponsor of the bill, is on the line.
Mr. Tippett, are you there? There you are, Mr. Tippett. Please go ahead.
I am, Madam Chair. Thank you. Yes, Jake Tibbetts for the record. I'm the County Natural Resource Manager for Eureka County. So through you to Senator Neal. So the intent was not to, in Section 2, it would withhold the information, any information exchanged in these non-public meetings from the Public Records Act. And that the intent in striking Section 2 was based on testimony from folks, including those in the Open Government Coalition, as well as some follow-up conversations with folks that, based on some case law already in Nevada related to records that are withheld because of being pre-decisional and deliberative, that we felt it best to just allow that on a case-by-case basis based on those public records requests. There's already a standard on when those would be released, so this does not implicate that whatsoever. On a case-by-case basis, those records would still be allowed and subject to release under the public records laws. So we are not implicating that whatsoever, and that's the intent in striking Section 2.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Additional questions or concerns? Senator Orenshaw, please.
Thank you, Chair. From the hearing, I had concerns that were brought up by the Open Government Coalition, and I appreciate the amendment. I think that's addressed some of my concerns. You know, there's still some concerns I have about the exemptions from the open meeting law, but I will vote to support it out of committee and reserve my right. I do appreciate the sponsors' work on trying to address some of the concerns, but I still have some lingering concerns about transparency and exemptions from the open meeting law, but I will vote to support today and reserve my right.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't think I see any additional questions. With that, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
So moved from Senator Hansen. That would be an amend and do pass, Senator Hansen. And yes, second on that?
I'll second the motion, Madam Chair.
Second from Gocochea, Senator Gocochea. Any discussion on the motion? Would you please take a roll call vote?
Vice Chair Orenshaw.
Yes, reserving my right.
Senator Gocochea.
Yes.
Senator Neal.
Yes.
Senator Hansen.
Yes.
Chair Dawn Daraloop.
Yes. Motion passes, and I will ask Senator Gocochea to make this floor statement, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We'll move on to Senate Bill 253.
Elisa Keller, Committee Policy Analyst. Senate Bill 253 revises provisions related to alarm systems, sponsored by Senator Settlemyre and heard by this committee on March 29th. Senate Bill 253 prohibits a board of county commissioners or the governing body of an incorporated city from imposing any penalty, fine, or fee on an alarm system contractor or monitoring company for any false alarm that cannot be attributed to the improper installation of the alarm system or any other error committed by the contractor or monitoring company. The bill also provides that advertising by a contractor who installs alarm systems may include, instead of the number of a contractor's license, a website or phone number where the number of the contractor's license may be obtained. Subsequent to the hearing, a proposed conceptual amendment was submitted on behalf of the State Contractors Board to delete the changes to subsection 4 of section 4, thereby maintaining the requirement that all advertising by a licensed contractor must include the name of the contractor's company and the number of the contractor's license. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on the bill before us?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Neal.
The problems that I had with the bill, I understood about the advertising piece, but the issue I had with Section 3, where the false alarm could be attributed to a regular citizen, and the concern of, if a minor triggers it, somebody that has Alzheimer's ends up triggering the house alarm, the family is now going to get that fee. So that part I don't support.
So I believe I saw Senator Settlemyre in the queue. Senator Settlemyre, would you answer that question, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I appreciate it. Currently, the issue that's going on is some municipalities are finding the company who has nothing to do with this. To my knowledge, I'm not familiar with where the counties have said, the municipalities have said that they're finding the individual. So that does not impact that in any way, shape, or form. So in other words, municipalities are currently trying to find, some of them, the manufacturer, and that doesn't do anything to reduce any of the problems, so it doesn't make any sense. But to my knowledge, currently, again, that doesn't impact it because the counties are only currently going after the manufacturer. So that'd be a situation where the counties, if they chose to do that, and hopefully, citizens and so forth come forward and tell the counties that they're not, agreement with that. But the bill doesn't affect that.
Okay.
Thank you. Any additional questions or concerns on this bill? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
Amend and do pass.
Amend and do pass from Senator Neal.
Second.
Second from Vice Chair Orenshaw. Any discussion on the motion? We'll take a roll call vote. Thank you.
Vice Chair Orenshaw,
Yes.
Senator Gokachia,
Yes.
Senator Neal,
Yes.
Senator Hansen,
Yes.
Chair Don Darrell-Loop.
Thank you. Yes. And the motion passes, and I'll ask Senator Settlemyre if he would like the floor statement on his bill.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Good to see you, and thank you for joining us, Senator Settlemyre.
Thank you.
All right. We will go to Senate Bill 368.
Lisa Keller, Committee Policy Analyst. Senate Bill 368 requires the issuance of bonds for environmental improvement projects in the Lake Tahoe Basin, sponsored on behalf of the Legislative Committee for the Review and Oversight of the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency and the Marlette Lake Water System, and heard by this committee on April 7th. Senate Bill 368 requires the State Board of Finance to issue not more than $4 million in general obligation bonds to fund certain environmental improvement and conservation projects included in the second phase of the Environmental Improvement Program, also called EIP, for the Lake Tahoe Basin. And there were no amendments proposed.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on the bill itself? Not seeing any, I'll take a motion.
Do pass.
Vice Chair Orenshaw, do pass. A second?
Second.
Second from Senator Neal. Any discussion on the motion? If not, I will take a roll call vote.
Vice Chair Orenshaw,
Yes.
Senator Gokachia,
Yes.
Senator Neal,
Yes.
Senator Hansen,
Yes.
Chair Don Darrell-Loop.
Yes. Motion passes, and I think I maybe could ask Senator Hansen, would you be interested in that floor statement, sir? Okay, great. I'm right next to you. If something happens, I'll take over. All right. Thank you very much. All right. I think we're at Senate Bill 373.
That is correct, Madam Chair. The last bill for the committee's consideration is Senate Bill 373.
Excuse me, Ms. Keller.
The last one that is on the work session document.
There we go. Thank you.
The last bill on the work session document is Senate Bill 373, provides for collective bargaining by certain state employees, sponsored by the Senate Committee on Government Affairs and heard by this committee on April 7th. Senate Bill 373 establishes collective bargaining rights for certain unclassified state employees, including Nevada System of Higher Education faculty and professional staff. The bill also expands the powers and duties of the Government Employee Management Relations Board to include hearing and deciding disputes between state professional employers and professional employees. Finally, the bill sets forth procedures for a professional organization to be recognized by the board and provides for the creation and organization of bargaining units. And there are no amendments proposed for this measure.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Seeing no hand. Senator Gocochea, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe I just don't understand it, but I know NISHI is completely different than what we've got under collective bargaining for state employees. So I will support the motion out of committee, but I want to reserve my right to change my vote on the floor.
Fair enough, sir. Any additional comments from the committee? Senator Hansen, please.
Thanks, Chair. I was going to comment after the motion, but I'll just do it now. I'm a no. I think NSHI needs some major financial overhauls. I think those guys have been spending money like drunken sailors with no oversight for decades. I understand from a former member of our body that there's a bill coming up with an extensive audit that is coming to the floor at some point. I realize this has to do with individuals, but the whole collective bargaining process, especially for those guys, just financially it's out of control. I think we need to do some serious reining in of how they behave. So I would be a no. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Hansen. Any additional comments? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Pass.
Thank you, Vice Chair Earnshaw. Do pass. Second?
Second.
Senator Neal. Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll take a roll call vote.
Vice Chair Earnshaw,
Yes.
Senator Gocochea,
Yes, with reservations.
Senator Neal,
Yes.
Senator Hansen,
No.
Chair Don Darrell-Loop.
Yes, motion passes 4-1. I will I will take the floor statement on that one. And we will move on to 3 bills that we heard today. And the first one will be Senate Bill 67. Ms. Keller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Senate Bill 67 revises provisions relating to public works and was heard by the committee today.
Thank you very much. And any discussion on that bill? We've just finished listening to it. And Senator Hansen?
I'm going to be a no on this one. It's kind of a rush through bill, and I'm not totally sure. I know they took the north out of it, but some of the labor guys up north are very concerned about it. And I'm also concerned that there is going to be some impacts to the non-union contractors in Southern Nevada. I know a lot of them do a lot of these small things, and some of the provisions in the bill, it may have been amended, but some of the provisions in the bill make the requirements very difficult for smaller contractors to qualify to even get in this whole process. So I will be a no.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have a comment? Senator Gokachia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will be supporting the measure, again, because it is a pilot program and a test run. Southern Nevada, if you talk Northern Nevada and $25 million, you're talking a couple, 3 years budget. So I will support it.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments? Our Vice Chair Arnshaw?
No, make a motion if.
Please.
I move that we do pass Senate Bill 67 with amended, do pass with the amendment that was in the work session document.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Senator Neal. Thank you very much. And if there's no discussion on the motion, we'll go to roll call vote.
Vice Chair Arnshaw,
Yes.
Senator Gokachia,
Yes.
Senator Neal,
Yes.
Senator Hansen,
No.
Chair Don Darrell-Loop.
Yes. And motion passes. And I'll ask Senator Neal, will you take that floor statement for me, please?
Sure. You're muted.
Oops. I said, thank you very much. I'm trying to hammer these out. And when there's only 5 of us, we just sort of have to share the workload. So thank you very much. All right. We will go to Senate Bill 286.
Senate Bill 286 revises provisions relating to public employees, sponsored by Senator Harris and was heard by this committee today.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on the bill? We just heard this one, so if nobody has any comments, I'll entertain a motion. Vice Chair Orangel, do I see you clicked?
Yes, Chair. I am going to make the motion to get it out to the floor, and I will. I do want to reserve my right when the vote comes. I'll vote to support it to get it out to the floor. I still have some questions, but I'd like to make the amended do pass motion.
Thank you very much. Second?
Second.
Second from Senator Neal. Any discussion on the motion? Senator Hansen?
Real quick, I'm gonna be a no. Frankly, I'm just confused as to what unions were for and what unions were against, and so I can change my vote later. But I was uncomfortable with this one, so I will be a no at this point. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Senator Gokachia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just because we really didn't get a lot of opportunity input on the bill, I also am concerned with some of the infighting that seemed to be occurring down south. So I will support the bill out, but reserve my right to let's get it to the floor. I'm sure we're going to hear from a lot of people before it comes to the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And if I don't see any more hands?
Madam Chair, I'll say ditto with Gokachia, but you know.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And with that, if there's no further discussion, we'll take a roll call vote.
Vice Chair Arnshaw?
Yes, but my right on the floor.
Senator Gokachia?
Yes, reserving my right.
Senator Neal?
Yes.
Senator Hansen?
No.
Chair Don Darrell-Loop?
Yes. And with that, the motion passes 4-1. And Senator Neal, would you take the floor statement? I may have to move some of these around, but if you'll jump in there for me again, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
And the last and final bill for today is Senate Bill 298. And if we could hear that, Ms. Keller, we'll move forward. Thank you.
Senate Bill 298 revises provisions relating to inland ports, sponsored by Senator Kekeffer and heard by this committee today.
Thank you very much. And with that being said, any discussion on the bill? We just heard it. I thank you. Yes, Senator Hansen.
I just want to make sure that the bill sponsors work with Senator Neal. I think she raised some very legitimate points. I will support it just to get it out of committee, but I'm going to follow her lead on the floor, so I hope they make her happy.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Hansen. Any additional comments on the bill? Yes, Senator Orenshaw.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the sponsors' hard work on the bill, but I too share some of Senator Neal's concerns, and the testimony of Mr. Donnelly from the Biological Diversity Center kind of concerned me too. But I will vote to support it to get out to the floor and reserve my right.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Any additional comments, Senator Neal?
Yeah. I mean, Senator Kekeffer did say he's going to work with me, but I'm a no as is, but I reserve to change.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no more comments, I'll take a motion.
Motion to amend and do pass.
Thank you very much.
Second.
I have a second from Vice Chair. And any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll take a vote. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Chair Orenshaw,
Yes.
Senator Gokachia,
Yes.
Senator Neal,
No.
Senator Hansen,
Yes.
Chair Don Daraloop.
Yes. With that, the bill passes, and I'll hand the floor statement over to Senator Kekeffer. Thank you for joining us today. And with that, I think, believe it or not, we have finished work session. So trying to get everything through so everybody can get on their way home, those that are going. I want to thank the staff. These are always a lot of work for everybody, but we forget how much organizing and legal, our policy people, our office people, everybody just pitches in and gets everything done. So I so totally want to make sure that you realize how much we thank you and appreciate you. And committee members, thanks for hanging in there with us today. And I have scheduled a meeting on Monday, but it could be that we don't do one. It depends on that floor. I have got one there, but I may be asked by leadership to delay. So that decision will probably be made tonight. I don't know. So I'll reserve my right. How about that? But right now we have a meeting and it'll probably be a short one. I appreciate that. Have a nice weekend. If you're traveling, travel safe, and we'll see you all on Monday. Thank you. Good night.